What you're about to witness is probably the most important and the most powerful video that you're ever gonna watch in your entire fucking life about dating and how to relate with women. Whether you are just starting out, you have zero experience with girls, you're not getting laid yet, you're not having sex, whether you're intermediate, between intermediate and advanced, this video is for you. And intermediate and advanced, I mean, is more like maybe you're getting results, but they're inconsistent. So you're getting no results, or you're getting results, but they're inconsistent. Sometimes you take a girl home, you don't know why it happened, how it happened. Other times you don't. Or you have a very long interactions, 2-3 hours talking to a girl, 2-3 hour days, you never see her again, she never see you again, she doesn't go home with you because of some bullshit excuse, and it confuses you because you took a girl home who said, in the past maybe said, oh, it's my friends, I cannot go home with you, but you said something or you did something and still she went home with you. On the other hand, the same exact situation with the same exact obviously or supposedly female person, she says the same thing, the same objection, and you apply the same principle and it doesn't work. Okay, and I'm gonna tell you why. These are the energy dynamics behind what they say and what women mean behind what they say. Okay, and it's not about the subcommunications, it's not about not getting consistent results, it's not about subcommunications, it's not about, some people think like, oh yeah, she didn't do this, maybe because next time I have to do this, I have to maybe talk to the friends and make them feel a little bit more comfortable about her coming home with me. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but that's the question mark, right? And you're on a date, and some girls go home with you on the first date, and some girls go home with you on the second date. And the reason is because you really are not feeling the energy dynamics behind what she's actually saying. And this is what this video is about. It's about filling in the gaps and knowing exactly what strategies to apply or what energies to express, what aspects of your personality to express, to actually fill in these gaps in your game so that you get success in these previously failed situations in which you didn't take the girl home. And they keep repeating. It's like a pattern, it's like karma. So these situations, you take the girl home in the same situation. She has friends, the friends are worried, you talk to the friends. I give an example, this is an example. And in some other situation, in that situation, she goes home with you, the friends are cool with it, and in on some other day, same exact situation, same exact objections, and be it on a date or inside the club, usually in the club it's gonna be the friends or the sister or whatever, and same exact situation, different day, supposedly or seemingly same exact sentences that come out of the woman's mouth, but you apply the same strategy and it doesn't work. And she still doesn't feel safe enough to go home with you. She still doesn't feel comfortable enough to follow you, to comply or to... And this is the question mark in the dating industry here. Like, why are most students that come out of all these boot camps, they get results, they get laid, but they're still either they don't get any results at all, like 0%, or they start getting results, but it's like still a lot of hard work. Like you have to talk to like 100, 200 girls, and out of 100 or 200 you get like 1 or 2, let's just say. So you're getting laid, you have game, quote unquote, but you're getting laid like maybe once a week if you're going super hard, like numbers game. Or you're getting laid like, if you don't have time, then you go out here and there, you get laid like once a month or once every 2 months or something like that. So there is that. This is the problem that needs to be fixed, right? Even for coaches, this video can be for, if you're a dating coach listening to this can help you out a lot, and your students as well. how to fill in the gaps, right? So this is the magic video. This is the magic pill, basically. So how do you get these consistent results? Let me check the social energy dynamics principles that we're going to be talking about today. Now, there's three, I would say four to five different types of emotional systems or energy systems, I call them, that people operate on. Okay, and they start from childhood. They develop from childhood, and these are basically, you find them in women. The women that you meet, she will have a specific way of expressing herself. She will have a specific way of talking about her emotions and a specific way of getting attracted to other men, to men, okay? A very specific way to go about sleeping with somebody, okay? And what we're going to examine is all these different types of, you could call them personalities, but let's say more like emotional personalities. I call them energy systems. Okay, in social energy dynamics, we call them energy systems. So this is how I titled it for my students. So we're gonna look at these, each and every single one of them, and you will be able to understand why, like, encountering the same situation, the same objections in one situation, you handle it, you say something, and then it works. Maybe you say the same thing, it works. You say the same thing to the same exact objection, different girl but same situation, and it doesn't work. This is what we're going to be examining. And what I'm telling you here is that the reason why it's not working is because you are maybe hearing the same type of objection in a similar situation. For example, I have a boyfriend, or I can't go home with you, it's my friends, or my mom, or my sister, she's in the club, I can't leave her alone. In one situation you handle it, in this situation you say the same thing and it doesn't work. Or you say like 10, 20 different types of things and still doesn't work. But when you say them in in similar other situations, some other day, similar situation, it works. And the reason is because you are only dealing with what she's saying. Okay, you're not dealing with the emotions. You're not speaking directly to the heart. And you're not feeling the energy behind what she's saying. If you were to really sniff out what she's actually experiencing on an energy level, on an emotional level, you would be able to put that into words. It's not about what you feel inside your body. This is what most dating coaches are teaching. It's like, oh, she said this, you have to say this. If she said this, then it means this. No, it doesn't always mean exactly the way you think it does. If it was like that, you'd be getting laid much, much more regularly. So let's look at these emotional systems. So there's these 4 to 5 types of emotional energy systems, or let's just say girls. Let's say like 4 to 5 different types of emotional expressions. So there's the girl who's avoidant, emotionally avoidant, let's just say. And these girls, the way they see love and relationships is a little bit more like, they're not really scared of connecting, but they're more like, they connect, they usually they have been conditioned to, they connect through the body more. So you would find that they're a little bit more sexual than other girls in the way they dress, or they're a little bit more sexual in terms of the way they express themselves, or in the way they go about their dating life. So this is the type of girl that you could take home in like 5-10 minutes, like very, very quickly, okay? I'm not saying that the girl who has the heart open, which is what we're going to be discussing in a few minutes, you can take her in 5-10 minutes home. It's like you could, but this is the type of woman that is generally much more sexually open, okay? And this is because they are disconnected from their emotional body and they're disconnected from the mind. So they are very disconnected from the body. And the way this happened is that usually with the father figure, as a child, the girl, this little girl, she was always, when she would express emotions, she would get shut down and dismissed. If she's crying, sometimes maybe 5% out of 95% of the times she would get soothed, and the father would reassure her. He would hug or exhibit some kind of emotionally reassuring behavior to calm her down. But 95% of the times, from early childhood, even from babyhood, she was emotionally shut down so many times, okay? Not always, though. That would be like the next level of dysfunction in terms of attraction and relating with other men. But yeah, bear with me here, guys, because this is very deep, right? It's gonna be a very deep video, but if you really understand this, you will be able to increase the consistency of your results. You will be able to get laid every single day if you wanted to, okay? So this is the type of girl who was emotionally shut down, not 100% of the time, but close to 90%, 95% of the times, okay? And she was shut down emotionally many times. Like if she expresses anger, she receives anger back, or she receives just handle it, deal with it. Even from very early childhood, like 3, 4, 5 years old, okay? Either usually from the father or both, the mother and the father, okay? But usually the emotionally avoidant girl, she develops this disconnection from the body by usually she develops it by being misattuned or misaligned to how she feels. So every single time she expresses some sadness or some anger, she gets confused, because it's like she always gets dismissed, like, get out of here, deal with it, or shut the fuck up, why are you crying? That's what she gets. And so she got conditioned to not show any emotion, right? So connecting from the heart is very difficult for this woman. And what do I mean by connecting from the heart? Connecting from the heart is like holding hands, like looking at her very deeply, or like caressing her face, or looking at her like in an emotion. You could be looking at a girl in the eyes, but if you have an emotionally heartful or heart-charged, heart-based look that is coming out of you, she will get freaked out and she will probably reject you, or reject the escalation. But if you were to, so she's been conditioned to not show emotions, right? Because every time she shows emotions, she gets shut down. So usually this girl was soothed probably by one of the parents would give some hug at some points or something like that. But most of the time there's no emotional connection. Okay. And so as a child, she learned to feel good by emotional spikes. Let's say spiking, like very intense emotional spikes, to the point where like she would feel good only when there's some emotional spike that would spike up the emotional system, and then would make in turn make the body feel good. Okay, so what does this mean in adulthood? How to connect with this woman, right? How does she connect with other men? And then I'll tell you how to connect with her, right? So generally speaking, she's disconnected from the emotional body, okay? And she is disconnected from the body as well, okay? She's not, the body doesn't feel safe inside. So whatever kind of emotion she doesn't feel really that safe. And even at times, because she's confused as a child about, okay, should I cry now, or should I shut the fuck up, or what? How do I connect? How do I connect? How do I get love from the parents? If I cry, sometimes, like most of the time, if I cry, then yeah, he's not gonna give me love, so I'm not gonna cry. But I don't know how to express myself, because also with this girl, sometimes if she's happy, she would get shut down also. Or the parent, or if she has some kind of achievement at school, the parent would be like, yeah, you could do better. Or the parent would be like, yeah, it was good, but yeah, the neighbor's child was much better than you. So it's more like a narcissistic, dismissive type of relating. So she's also confused about what kind of positive emotions that's okay to express for her. Okay, and so they really don't know how to deal with people in general, but throughout the years they develop these coping mechanisms, and one of the biggest ones, one of the most relevant ones, it could be different. There's different types of avoidant girls. I'm not going to get into like the whole thing right now, but there's different types of avoidant girls, right? One of the biggest coping mechanisms that they develop is that they try to feel good. Okay, they try to spike up the body in a very intense manner, or they're so emotionally deprived in terms of attention, so these girls, they will have like so many tattoos and piercings or something like that, or they would maybe they're not showing off any, they would either like be showing off a lot, like boobs out and cleavage and all that, or the total opposite of that, they would show nothing at all, and they look like super quiet and super like introverted. Okay, but the way you tell if a girl is avoidant or not is usually by the way she receives you right off the open. Okay. Usually right off the opener, because for her, love is like, with the parents, she's used to being like, okay, in order for me to get love, first I need to get rejected. Because she gets rejected, but sometimes the parent is like funny, or they have some good time here and there, you see. So for her it's like, okay, I want to connect. Most of the time I cannot connect with the parent, so most of the time I can't get love. But sometimes I do get love. Sometimes I do feel good. But the way my life, my love life, the way my life has been structured around the parent is like, the way I get love is that I have to get rejected first. You see, most of the time, because she's always getting dismissed emotionally. So most of the time I have to get rejected first. 95% of the time I have to get rejected. Again, if she expresses something positive or she expresses something negative, going back to the school achievement example or the emotional dismissing example, she's very confused about what the hell to express to get love, but she's quite sure that whatever the hell she expresses, 95% of the time she's going to get rejected. And after that rejection, sometimes she gets some approval, 5-10% of the time. So for her, love starts with rejection. So this girl, if you approach her, she's gonna reject you from the start, most of the time. These are the girls who will play games. They are bitchy from the start, and they wanna do like the banter back and forth. They're usually like the ones that are like super showing like cleavage. And guys get confused, like, oh, a girl is like, oh, she looks super good and she looks super confident and showing off and has all this bitchy makeup on. she must be one of these girls who's gonna reject me a lot. But it's not always the case, because what we're gonna see in some other videos is that there's the confident and secure woman who is who can also be dressed like super flashy and showing off, but she's very confident, and if you approach her, she would receive you in a very sweet and caring manner. And I've seen this in my personal dating life many times as a dating coach and as a therapist and an energy healer. I've seen it in clients that I worked with who have men and women who have these different types of love love styles, let's just say. And so let's get back to the avoidant, right? It's very difficult to tell from the, at this point I could do it, and I teach to my clients how to check like whether the girl is gonna, how she's gonna react to you before the opener. Usually they give off some signs, but it's not about body language, like literally fuck body language, fuck all this like traditional dating garbage that's been out there for the past, I don't know, 20 years. This stuff, this is the real deal here. This is, if you understand this, you're gonna get so many more like girls in your life, so much more results. So let's get back to the topic. So at this point you really cannot tell from the outside. That's on the paid side. I teach that like before the opener you can tell how she's gonna react and what kind of girl is she and how to talk to her and all of that. And so I teach how to connect with the girl way before the approach, you see. So the rejection, let's just say the rejection ratio is gonna be much less. Okay, so the avoidant girl, most likely, most of the time, she's gonna reject you at first. She's not gonna, or that's the type of girl who's gonna like not stop. If you try to stop her in day game, she's not gonna stop. She's gonna look at you like this and then she's gonna keep on walking. Or, and there's specific types of openers you could use to actually make her stop, right? But inside the club, it's a little bit easier. I'm gonna give you a tip here. So if you get rejected and you feel like she's bitchy, that's most likely the girl who's avoidant, okay? And love for her is rejection first, love second. So to get to love, she has to reject you, she has to play with you, she has to dismiss you, she has to throw you away, push you away, and then take you in, okay? And then, yeah, if you end up in a relationship with that girl, she's gonna play the same shit over and over again. Break up with you, come back, break up, come back, break up. And I had a relationship like that in the past, actually. 1 or 2 relationships like that, long-term ones. Interesting stuff, yeah. Nightmares. But yeah. And these girls, I give you another tip. They reciprocate a lot with sexual relating. Let's just say sexual openers. But I'm not telling you like to go out there and try to like... There's different types of avoidant girls. There's the ones that are extremely traumatized, there's the ones that are like in the middle, and there's the ones that are like, they kind of learned how to handle it in a better way, and they didn't really, but they're still avoidant to some extent. It's still, that's the main core love style that they have, the way they want to receive love, they want to give love, okay? And I'm not saying that you have to go out. This is the trick here. This is what's tricky about the social energy dynamics principles that I teach, okay, to my students, is that it's not like, okay, she's like this, and you have to, if a girl rejects you from the start, it means she's this type of person, and you have to say this, and you have to be sexual because she's into sexual stuff, and that's what she likes. Yes, but no. Okay, there's a lot of detail that goes into how to actually open properly, when to get sexual, how to sexualize the conversation in the most appropriate way. Sometimes they connect with the heart also. Sometimes like, hey, you look really beautiful today and you have a really nice look on your face and I would like to get to know you, could work. Okay, so it's a little bit tricky. It's a very dynamic. Here we're getting into the second, it's called dynamic emotional calibration. So this is what we're going to be covering in some other videos, and I'll be covering the other love styles, let's just say. and how to relate with these women. But generally speaking, what I want you to understand in terms of the avoidant girl, she's usually gonna reject you from the start, okay? But if you plow through, if you stay there, just stay there and try to. But you have to also differentiate. It's not like a black and white shit. There's so many details in the game, right? In this dating game, in the energy, social energy dynamics, what we're learning here, and energy dynamics in general. Sometimes a girl is rejecting you simply because she's rejecting you. She doesn't want to talk to you, like literally. And in that case, it doesn't matter. But here we're differentiating. It's very subtle. We're differentiating between the girl who wants to talk to you, but she's rejecting you because she wants to play with you a little bit, because that's how she is used to receiving love from her parents. They play with her, they toy with her, they throw her away, they reject her, they take her back, and they reject her again. Most of the time they're rejecting. And what to expect from this girl, most likely during the conversation, is like, it's either the girl who's gonna be very easy to pull, like 5, 10 minutes, 20 minutes out of the club, and something else to understand is that they're not very good at processing heartfelt communications. So if you're gonna talk about your childhood during the interaction or something emotional, and they are so fucking scared of dealing with other people's emotions, they dread. Usually these girls, they don't want to have children, and they're like, you find them even in online dating apps, they're like, I don't want kids. That's usually an avoidant woman. She's like, this is the type of girl who's always cheating. She's never been in a long-term relationship, most likely. She doesn't want long-term relationships. She's like a serial, like, most of her long-term relationships were like 2 or 3 months. And she's always like the fuck buddy type of girl, right? Or the one-night stand type of girl. And what you need to understand with these girls is that if you express yourself emotionally, if you maybe caress her, you're looking at her, you're grabbing her, maybe you're dancing, and maybe you start to, you can caress or touch a girl's face like softly like this from a sexual way. You could look at her, you could touch like this from here. Usually I use this like sometimes with girls, they just take 2 fingers and I do like this when the girl is ready, when it's appropriate, of course. It's not a technique, so don't go out and do this like it's fucking, you get slapped in the face if you don't know when to do it. But yeah, you do like this, or there's different types of ways to express your emotions in a sexual way. They're usually very receptive to sexual communication throughout the whole conversation. They're all about like, this is the girl who wants to hear you like talk in her ear about all kinds of shit you're gonna do to her. And yeah, guys, this is why you're getting inconsistent results. And there's the other love styles. There's the anxious woman, okay, the overthinker, and there's, man, I could talk about this for like until the end of the next year, 2023. Like, there's so much details to cover, guys. And the other concept is called dynamic emotional calibration. This is something that I created. It means that yes, she connects away from the heart, because so the heart is shut down and she connects mostly with the body. She's a body felt type of woman. She only feels good from the body, okay? And sometimes, as I told you, because she's not used to either expressing negative or positive emotions and received positively by expressing negatives or positives, so she's usually gonna be the silent type of girl during the interaction, or she's gonna be like the bitchy, bantering back and forth. But what's in common usually for the avoidant, love avoiding girl is that she will connect much more readily with the body. And she could get physical from the start. It's super easy for you to get physical with these girls most of the time, but you gotta be careful, not always, not from the start. Sometimes it's good, yeah, from the start, depends on the concept of dynamic emotional calibration. Means that yes, is the sexual type of woman, but sometimes she's in the heart a little bit. Sometimes she's in the mind, okay? And sometimes she's disconnected from herself completely, and there's a specific way that you would go about expressing different kinds of social energies or aspects of yourself. And this done by applying specific social energy dynamics principles that I teach. We're gonna look at these in some other videos. This means that most of the time they connect sexually, but at certain points in the interaction you have to be emotionally dynamic, like the calibration has to be dynamic. So this is the concept behind the idea behind dynamic emotional calibration. And we're gonna look at this in some other video because I have to finish this soon. So dynamic emotional calibration is like, for example, you could start talking sexual and you connect, but at some point you might disconnect, you might feel some disconnection, and you might feel like you start chasing her and that she's not being connected, or she lost, you lose her attention inside the club or on a date or whatever. And that's because at certain points she really wants to feel loved. And I told you that the avoidant type of girl is more like 5%. She received some kind of good experiences. She had some good family times at times, not always traumatic, right? And you have to feel through that. And it's very difficult to do what I'm talking about. So it's a dynamic emotional calibration. It's not about, it doesn't come from the mind. It's not social, it's not traditional social calibration that you're taught in RSD, real social dynamic stuff, or this pickup stuff like the pickup lines and like memorizing bullshit. And if she says this, you do this. If she says that, you do that. And if she does this, if she looks around, that means you have to spike her emotions so she looks back at you. If a guy comes in, you have to do this. No. You could, what I'm talking about here, sometimes, you could even say something that could be considered as chody or nice guy type of line, but it's coming from a sexual place. It's about where you're expressing, what kind of energies that you're expressing. You could say something from a nice guy perspective, and it's coming from the heart, expressed to the right girl, but in the wrong time. She's not ready to receive heartfelt expressions, mostly because she's avoidant. She disconnects more, she rejects you, she gets out of there. And you're like, what the fuck, we've been talking for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, she didn't want to pull. Why? This is why, okay? And you really cannot learn, to be honest with you, you can't really learn this by yourself. You have to go through the proper psychotherapeutic meditations that I created for my students on the coaching side to unlock different aspects of yourself that would allow you to, because this dynamic emotional calibration has to be natural and spontaneous in the moment. If you are thinking about what to say or what to do or whether this is appropriate or whether she's avoidant and what to connect and how to do this, it's not gonna work simply because it's coming from the mind, okay? It works sometimes because the girl is sometimes in the mind. She wants to talk about some logical stuff, but other times she's in the heart or she's in the body. She's like more like sexual, okay? Sometimes this is where it gets even more deep and interesting here. Sometimes an avoidant woman who connects mostly from a sexual place and with the body, she wants to hear something that is coming from the heart, but in a sexual fashion, okay? I don't know, like for example, she wants to hear you say something like, hey, I don't know, like I really fuck you, I really like you, but I also I really fuck you, okay? Freud is fucking with my head today. Freudian slips of the tongue. So, I really like you, you're an amazing person, and you have a nice heart, and then you go into like, in like, near to her ear, and you say something super sexual like, oh, I want to fuck the shit out of you also, and blah blah blah. So And you have to know when to say those things. Sometimes the only way to pull a girl, to take a girl home, is to actually express two different types of contradictory energies at the same time. Contradictory social energies. I'm doing the Kamehameha from Dragon Ball Z here. Some people don't know Dragon Ball. But anyways. So... everything that I told you so far, if you apply it from the mind, it's gonna work to some extent. Yes, it's gonna help you out. At least now you understand that there are different types of girls and they relate with different types of men, and how to present yourself in a specific way to connect with the right woman. But guys, it's listen. It's a little bit tricky to do it from the mind, which is what most dating coaches are teaching out there. Like 99% of dating coaches that are out there, they're not teaching this, okay? And simply because they don't have the psychotherapeutic background, okay? So I have a psychology degree, and that doesn't mean that I know shit. I know people who studied psychology, but they don't know nothing. I know therapists who studied psychology and they're applying therapy, but they're not. They suck at therapy, to be honest. They're just doing it for the money, or... I love helping people. My previous business was a therapy and energy healing, shamanic healing based. So I did the shadow work, I did the energy healing for my clients, and so all of that stuff. And this is why I know all of this, okay? And my work didn't change much when I shifted to dating coaching. It's still the same. It's still based on healing, it's still based on therapy, and it's still based on releasing different types of blockages. And the secret here, the reason why we need to do one-on-one coaching is because in order to get to the dynamic emotional calibration, spontaneous dynamic emotional calibration, where you're able to get consistent results because you're able to, like, without thinking about it or memorizing any lines or she did this, I do this, she did that, it means I did this because it worked with the previous one, and in the previous one, and the previous one, maybe not with the other one, but that one, so I have to do it like this because I could see, like, my memory is activating and matching what I'm seeing in front of me, and maybe it's gonna work. No, this is all traditional pickup and dating garbage that doesn't work. It'll only work with a very few type of women, okay? And what we're talking about here, you have to heal the traumas, your own childhood traumas that are stopping you from connecting with a broader range of women, let's just say. And this is what I'm specialized in, okay? Now, this video is mostly theoretical. If you apply the theory, it's gonna start working for you. It'll work for you. In practice, it will, okay? But most of my clients, they come to me because they get confused because the application of these theories, they require the practical side in terms of, like, how to make this spontaneous. You need to think about this all the time. Like, you need to, like, if you apply this, maybe it's gonna work for you, but you'll find, like, oh, it didn't work, I have to say this, and maybe you say the second thing and then it works, you see? So if you want to make this more effortless, you could do it by yourself, but if you want to make this more effortless, you have to go through the appropriate healing processes and meditations that I created for my students. So these are psychotherapies that I developed myself to help students in the dating community to release these blockages so that they can experience the spontaneous, dynamic emotional calibration. From there, to be honest, the result is you can easily and effortlessly sense and feel, and it comes up naturally in the moment what you really need to say to connect with that specific moment, woman in the right place at the right time in that specific moment, okay? And You don't have to think about it. You really can get to a point where you're clicking every single second. Because whatever she says, the parts of you that are blocked, that are blocking you from actually saying what needs to be said in the moment and understanding her. If she's talking from the body or from the sexual body, and you're talking from the heart, which is what most nice guys do, or if the woman is talking from the heart, and you're talking from your balls or from your fucking from you're expressing sexual intent when it's inappropriate, then the woman is gonna feel disconnected, you see? So all these aspects of yourself have to be activated and cleansed, and we do this through psychotherapeutic work. I do it through therapy. I do it through specific shamanic healing meditation, so I use shamanism. And some other processes that I'm not gonna get into. I also use permanent enlightened processes like spiritual awakening and other stuff like that, to keep you in a present state so that you're intuitive enough to say exactly what needs to be said in the right place at the right time. Okay guys, let's wrap this up. So if you're interested in this one-on-one coaching to accelerate this process, you can comment down below. I'll reach out to you, and I'll also leave the link to my calendar in the description below. And we can discuss your issues